You know, inside a single, incredibly common seed, there is just, well, it's a strange paradox.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if you extract it one way, you get a highly prized luxury skincare serum. But if you extract it another way, you get a heavy medical-grade laxative.
Yeah, and if you happen to handle the raw shell of that exact same seed incorrectly, you are suddenly dealing with one of the most lethal, naturally occurring toxins on planet Earth.
I mean, we are talking about castor oil today.
It really is a botanical Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, you know? For generations, people just knew it as that dreaded, viscous liquid hiding in the back of their grandparents' medicine cabinet.
Right, the old-timey punishment remedy.
Exactly. But today, it is a foundational pillar in the modern wellness and clean label cosmetic industries.
And that shift from a dusty old medicine to a globally sourced wellness powerhouse, that is our focus for you today. For this deep dive, we are pulling from a massive, comprehensive 2026 guide on castor oil.
It's a fantastic resource.
It really is. The research comes from Lauren Fabian, the founder of Ingredientsage. And they essentially forensically examine the supply chains and the science behind the ingredients we put on and in our bodies.
Which is so necessary right now.
Yeah, because our mission here is to extract the actual truth about this oil. We need to separate the hard biochemistry from, well, the wild internet myths. And we want to give you a toolkit to navigate the market without being fooled by clever marketing.
Because to understand how one plant can exist in both a medicine cabinet and like a $200 skin serum, we have to travel to where it grows.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, so you simply cannot grasp what castor oil does to human biology until you look at how it gets pulled from the earth. The process of extraction fundamentally changes the chemical identity of the final product.
Let's start in the dirt then. The 2026 data shows castor beans thriving primarily in tropical and subtropical climates.
Right, they need that heat.
So we are looking at massive agricultural hubs in India, parts of Africa, and South America. But what really stands out in the research, though, is the sheer technological weight being thrown at this ancient crop.
Well, the modern consumer demands sustainability, right? And the industry is having to adapt fast.
Because people actually care where their stuff comes from now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are seeing a total overhaul in traceability. Brands are relying on third-party audits for organic and fair trade practices. Some are even implementing blockchain-enabled provenance.
Wait, hold on, pause on that. Blockchain.
Yeah, blockchain.
Like cryptocurrency tech, just to track a plant oil. I mean, that sounds like massive overkill.
It sounds like it, sure, until you look at how fragile global supply chains actually are.
Okay, fair point.
When a premium brand promises you, the consumer, that their product is ethically sourced, they need an immutable, unchangeable record to prove it. A blockchain ledger tracks the seed from the moment it leaves a specific farm in India.
Oh, wow, so it's that granular.
Very. It verifies the soil health protocols, it ensures local water resources weren't drained, and confirms fair labor practices were used.
So it prevents a supplier from just swapping out a premium, ethically grown batch with a cheaper, unethically sourced batch halfway across the world.
Precisely. It locks in the trust.
Okay, that makes sense. So once those verified seeds are harvested, they obviously have to be processed. And the research highlights a major fork in the road here: cold pressing versus solvent extraction.
And this is where the oil's destiny is truly decided. Cold pressing relies strictly on mechanical pressure. Heavy machinery literally squeezes the seed until the oil weeps out.
Just pure physical force.
Right. Because you aren't introducing any external heat or synthetic chemicals, you preserve a much broader spectrum of the seed's natural profile. The minor therapeutic constituents remain totally intact.
Okay, so that's one path. And the alternative is solvent extraction, which the source notes often uses a chemical called hexane. Wait, isn't hexane a petroleum byproduct?
It is, yeah. It is a highly volatile hydrocarbon solvent.
So the clean label wellness industry is using a petroleum byproduct to extract their quote-unquote natural ingredients. That feels like a massive contradiction. Why would anyone do that?
Well, it really just comes down to basic economics and yield.
Of course it does.
Cold pressing leaves a lot of valuable oil trapped inside the solid seed mash. You just can't squeeze it all out. Hexane, on the other hand, is basically a chemical master key.
A master key.
Yeah, it aggressively binds to the lipids and pulls almost every single drop of oil out of the seed. You get a massively higher yield.
But the trade-off is that you now have a plant oil that's contaminated with a petroleum solvent.
Exactly, which is exactly why it requires intense post-processing. To make that solvent-extracted oil safe for any human use, manufacturers have to boil it and heavily refine it to evaporate and strip away the hexane residue.
Okay, so it's essentially like the difference between fresh squeezed orange juice and a highly processed fruit concentrate. How you squeeze it dictates exactly what's left in the glass.
I love that analogy.
Like, cold pressing is like wringing out a wet towel with your bare hands. You get pure water, but you inevitably leave some behind.
Right.
But solvent extraction is like soaking that towel in a chemical sponge that violently sucks out every last drop. You get way more volume, but then you have to painstakingly wash the chemical out before you can even think about drinking it.
That captures the mechanics perfectly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, when you see a brand shouting cold-pressed and hexane-free on their label, they are telling you they chose purity over volume.
They skip the chemical sponge entirely.
Exactly. Because this extraction geometry isn't just about snobbery. It directly dictates the oil's stability, its aroma, and its ultimate safety for you as the consumer.
So if solvent extraction leaves even a tiny risk of chemical residue, it makes perfect sense why I wouldn't want that on my face.
No, you definitely wouldn't.
But the research points out that extraction and refining don't just dictate quality. They actually split castor oil into two entirely different consumer pathways.
Yes, the two faces of the oil.
Right, you have the cosmetic grade that goes on your skin and the edible grade that you swallow.
And they are handled as though they are two completely different substances. Cosmetic grade castor oil is actually kept as unrefined as possible.
Really? Unrefined?
Yeah, formulators intentionally minimize the processing because they want to preserve that natural fatty acid profile we talked about.
Because those fatty acids serve a very specific function on the human body. The term used in the research is emollient, specifically forming an occlusive layer, what is actually happening on a microscopic level there.
Okay, so think of your skin as a brick wall, and the mortar between the bricks is your natural moisture. Throughout the day, the surrounding air constantly pulls that moisture out of your skin.
Just evaporating away.
Right, this is a physiological process called transepidermal water loss. When you apply cosmetic-grade castor oil, you are spreading an occlusive layer over those bricks. It is a physical, impermeable seal.
So it's essentially acting like organic cling wrap.
That is the exact mechanism. By trapping your body's own water beneath the surface, the skin hydrates itself from the inside out. It smooths out dry patches, softens roughened cuticle.
But there is a catch, right? Because castor oil is incredibly viscous.
Oh, very. It has a heavy, almost sticky texture.
Yeah, if you just rub raw castor oil on your face, you're going to feel like a glazed donut.
Which is why cosmetic chemists rarely use it alone. They blend it with lighter carrier oils or compounds called esters.
What does an ester do?
An ester acts as a modifier. It cuts the density of the castor oil, turning that sticky, heavy mask into a spreadable, elegant serum that your skin can actually absorb and tolerate.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. We have this ultra-thick, unrefined oil sitting on the skin doing a great job blocking water loss. But people are actively swallowing this stuff.
Yes, they are.
You cannot just drink a raw, thick emollient. How does a company take a topical skin barrier and make it safe enough to swallow?
Through an aggressive sequence of post-processing, mainly degumming, bleaching, and deodorization. Food-grade oil has to be completely neutralized.
Degumming, I mean, that sounds deeply unappetizing.
Well, it refers to removing phospholipids. These are naturally occurring compounds in the plant that act like sticky gums. If you leave them in, the oil will turn cloudy, attract moisture, and eventually rot.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, so degumming strips those out. Then the oil is bleached to remove color pigments and deodorized to eliminate any volatile compounds that cause a foul taste or smell.
So it is a complete chemical strip down to create a blank, safe slate for ingestion.
Exactly.
And when we look at why people ingest it, we hit the medical history of the plant. The most common edible application is as a harsh laxative. And Laurent Fabian's research isolates the exact driver of this. It's a compound called ricinoleic acid.
Ricinoleic acid is totally unique to the castor bean. When you swallow it, it travels down into your small intestine. And there, it actively binds to specific receptors on the smooth muscle tissue of your intestinal walls.
It's basically picking a lock on the muscle cells.
And once that lock is picked, it triggers peristalsis. These are intense, involuntary muscle contractions.
Meaning your stomach starts doing backflips.
The intestines begin rapidly squeezing, pushing everything through the digestive tract at very high speeds.
Let's just pause and look at the gravity of this for you, the consumer. We have the exact same botanical compound. On your face, it is a gentle, inert moisture barrier. But if you swallow it, it is a hardcore pharmacologically active laxative that forces your internal organs to spasm.
It is a profound duality.
How does a consumer not mix these up? The risk seems terrifying.
Well, it is a genuine danger, and this is the entire reason regulatory frameworks exist, to strictly separate cosmetic grade, food grade, and dietary supplement grade products.
So the labeling is everything.
Absolutely. If you assume all castor oil is the same and you swallow a cosmetic grade oil that wasn't purified for ingestion, you are consuming impurities. And conversely, if you take a dietary blend without understanding the biological power of ricinoleic acid, that forced peristalsis can lead to severe dehydration, violent gastrointestinal distress, and a dangerous drop in electrolytes.
Because your body is violently expelling water it desperately needs.
Precisely. Oral dosing is not a casual wellness trend. It is a medical intervention that usually requires supervision.
It is genuinely wild that a single plant behaves so radically differently depending on whether it touches the outside of your biology or the inside of your biology.
It really is.
And anytime you have a natural substance with that kind of recognized aggressive power, it becomes a magnet for internet myths.
Oh, the internet loves castor oil.
It really do. So we need to definitively clear the noise for you here, starting with the biggest myth of all hair growth.
If you spend any time on a beauty forum, you will see endless claims that rubbing castor oil into your scalp will magically accelerate hair regrowth.
The before and after photos are absolutely everywhere. But what does the actual clinical data say?
The clinical data does not support it at all. Robust, controlled trials show no conclusive evidence that castor oil stimulates the hair follicle to produce new growth.
Wait, really? Then why are millions of people convinced it works? Are they all just experiencing a placebo effect?
Not exactly a placebo. They are experiencing an optical illusion based on the oil's physical properties. Remember the occlusive layer we discussed for the skin?
The cling wrap effect.
Yes. It does the exact same thing to your hair. The oil coats the hair shaft, providing intense lubricity. It smooths down the microscopic cuticles of the hair, making it highly reflective.
I get it. So putting castor oil on your hair is basically like putting a really good wax on your car.
That's a great way to put it.
It fills in the micro scratches, makes the surface incredibly shiny, and it makes the car look brand new. But you aren't actually growing more metal. You're just optimizing the surface condition of what is already there.
Exactly. It improves texture and manageability, which prevents breakage. So you get longer hair because less of it is snapping off, not because the follicle is producing it any faster.
It creates the appearance of density, but it is not a biological growth agent.
Correct.
Okay, so that's the benign myth. But the research also dives into a much darker reality that terrifies consumers, and that revolves around a deadly toxin called ricin.
Yes, and this is not a myth. Raw castor seeds naturally contain ricin, which is one of the most potent and lethal toxins known to science.
So naturally, as a consumer, I'm wondering, if I am squeezing a highly poisonous seed, how on earth is the oil coming out of it not also highly poisonous?
It comes down to the mechanics of biochemistry. Ricin is a protein, and crucially, it is water-soluble. It is not oil-soluble.
Okay, so they naturally separate, like oil and vinegar.
Exactly. When the heavy machinery crushes the seed, the oil flows one way, while the water and the solid fibrous mash where the ricin protein actually lives stay behind.
Just left in the waste pile.
Right, the physical pressing naturally leaves the toxin behind.
But what if there's a microscopic crossover?
Right.
Like what if a tiny bit of that water-soluble protein slips into the oil batch?
Well, what's fascinating here is that we have a second biochemical failsafe, and that is heat. Even cold-pressed oils undergo some level of stabilization, while solvent-extracted oils are boiled.
And heat does what to the toxin?
Proteins like ricin are essentially complex, folded origami structures. To be poisonous, the origami has to hold a very specific shape so it can bind to human cells.
And heat destroys the origami.
It denatures the protein, yes. The heat causes the structure to unfold entirely. The quote-unquote poison shape is obliterated.
But the oil is fine.
Yeah, the oil is a lipid. Fats do not care about that level of heat. They survive completely intact. The final, properly processed castor oil contains 0 detectable quantities of ricin or its cousin, ricinine.
So the danger is totally neutralized. But as a consumer, you shouldn't just have to take a brand's word for it, right?
Yeah.
The data strongly emphasizes that you must demand third-party testing.
Look for a COA or a certificate of analysis.
What exactly is that looking for?
This is an independent lab document verifying that a specific batch of oil has been tested for ricin, heavy metals, pesticides, and microbial growth and came back clean. Transparency is really your only shield here.
And even with a pristine, perfectly safe bottle of oil, there are still strict contraindications, meaning scenarios where you absolutely should not use it. Pregnant individuals, for example, are advised to exercise extreme caution.
Yes, because of that peristalsis effect we discussed earlier, anything that aggressively stimulates smooth muscle contractions in the gut presents a collateral risk to the urine muscles during pregnancy.
Makes total sense. It also shouldn't be used on broken skin, right?
No, definitely not.
And definitely keep it away from your eyes unless you are using a very specific, highly refined product formulated expressly for ophthalmic use.
And standard dermatological advice always applies. Perform a patch test.
Just to be safe.
Yeah, put a tiny drop on your inner arm and wait 24 to 48 hours. Just because a product is natural doesn't mean your immune system won't flag it as an allergen.
Okay, so we've broken down the deep science. You understand the chemical mechanics of hexane extraction, how ricinoleic acid triggers muscle spasms, the reality of transepidermal water loss, and why heat destroys that ricin origami.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But now we need to bring this into the real world. How do you actually identify and protect a high-quality product once you bring it home?
Well, because even the most premium, organic, cold-pressed castor oil is vulnerable to its environment. The research highlights a process called oxidative rancidity.
Oxidative rancidity. That sounds like the oil goes bad. What is actively happening to it?
Castor oil is dense with unsaturated fatty acids. When those acids are exposed to UV light and ambient heat, the energy breaks the chemical bonds.
Just from sitting in the sun.
Just from the sun. Oxygen molecules rush in and attach to the broken fatty chains. The entire chemical structure degrades.
It literally falls apart at the molecular level.
Yes. The oil oxidizes. It develops a sharp, sour odor, and it completely loses the beneficial emollient properties we discussed.
Which explains the packaging rules. The research mandates that castor oil must be housed in amber glass bottles, light-resistant PE plastics, or completely opaque tubes.
The packaging is actually a massive indicator of a brand's scientific literacy.
How so?
If a company is selling you premium, cold-pressed castor oil in a clear, transparent bottle that lets the sunlight pour in, they either do not understand basic lipid stability or they simply do not care.
Wow, that's a huge red flag.
It really is.
So once you buy it, you need to store it in a cool, dark place. A sunny bathroom windowsill is basically a death sentence for the oil. What kind of shelf life are we looking at if stored correctly?
Typically, an unopened bottle will remain stable for 12 to 24 months. But the clock starts ticking the moment you break the seal and introduce fresh oxygen.
So we have to keep an eye on it.
You really have to monitor the oil. If the color shifts dramatically or it starts to smell off, oxidative rancidity has set in, and it needs to be thrown away immediately.
It's also worth noting how the packaging itself is evolving. Consumer pressure is forcing the industry to look beyond just protecting the oil.
Oh, absolutely.
We're seeing a huge push for recyclable glass, BPA-free caps, and even compostable liners in paper tubes.
It reflects a broader shift toward a circular economy. A clean label product isn't just about what is inside the bottle anymore. It is about the footprint of the bottle itself.
Lauren Fabian summarizes this perfectly in the 2026 data. He writes, and I'm quoting here, "In clean label cosmetics and wellness products, quality sourcing, transparent labeling, and proactive safety testing are non-negotiables."
And he's spot on. The brands surviving the current market shift are the ones investing heavily in that traceability and QA testing. They face fewer regulatory roadblocks and ultimately secure much deeper loyalty from the consumer.
So what does this all mean for you? Let's turn this into a practical toolkit. When you are standing in the wellness aisle or scrolling through an online storefront, staring at 20 different amber bottles of castor oil, how do you filter out the noise?
Your criteria should be extremely specific. First, check the extraction method. You want the words cold-pressed or hexane-free explicitly stated on the label.
And that ensures you are entirely avoiding petroleum solvent residue.
Exactly. Second, check for an organic certification. That provides a verified baseline that the agricultural practices were regulated.
And what's the third thing?
Third, verify the intended use. The bottle must clearly define if it is cosmetic grade for topical application or food grade for ingestion. Never, ever cross those streams based on a guess.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Truly. And finally, check the vessel. If it isn't in an amber glass or a completely opaque container, put it back on the shelf.
So if you follow that cheat sheet, you protect yourself from chemical solvents and degraded fatty acids, and you guarantee you are getting the actual therapeutic benefits of the plant.
It transforms you from a passive consumer, just reacting to marketing buzzwords, into an active participant. When you understand the underlying mechanism of how a product interacts with your biology, you can make decisions based on evidence, not fear.
And that wraps up our exploration today. We've traced the journey of the castor bean from tropical agricultural hubs, unpacked the towel and sponge mechanics of solvent extraction, navigated the intense muscle spasm effects of ricinoleic acid, and decoded the protective origami of the ricin protein.
It is a remarkable, highly engineered life cycle for what looks like a simple botanical ingredient.
Thank you for taking this deep dive with us. But before you go, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We've spent this entire time marveling at how a single, ordinary seed holds a luxury skin barrier, a violent medical laxative, and a lethal, water-soluble toxin, all at the exact same time. And whether it heals you or harms you depends entirely on the exact mechanical and chemical processes human beings use to unlock it. It really makes you look out your window and wonder what other totally mundane plants are sitting quietly in our backyards right now, holding incredible contradictory powers, just waiting for the exact right extraction method to reveal them.